What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Just Another Sports Betting Podcast. I'm Cody. You can follow me on Twitter at Cody_CHGO and on Twitter or on TikTok and Instagram. What's up? Happy Sunday. Happy week 2 Sunday NFL slate. We're here, man. We used to dream of times like this, like 2-3 months ago when we wished we had football. At least, watching the Cubs team that I have to cover every day. That's what I was thinking about, to be honest with you, a lot. Unfortunately, I wish I didn't feel that way, but it is what it is. Baseball season's almost over, guys. It's almost over. And then college basketball season's right around the corner. Can't wait. But until then, we got college football. We got NFL. Went 2-3 yesterday on the college football slate. If you watched the video I did Friday, bad beats. West Virginia. Oh my God, West Virginia. You led the entire second half only to just would have had a positive day if West Virginia just didn't shit their pants at the end of the game. I'm not mad about it. I promise you I'm not mad about it. And I say that with a very sarcastic tone. But we had Alabama minus 16.5. They win by 32. Memphis plus 6.5 or 7. I bought up on 7. I should have taken the money line. All right. Lost on LSU and South Carolina under. That shit was basically hit at halftime. I wish I had just taken South Carolina like I wanted to. Scared money don't make money. Scared money don't make money. That is a perfect example of scared money. All I had to do was just place the bet. Home underdogs in the SEC. Why, Cody? Why? Especially this LSU team. It was at 7 points. LSU won by 3, 4 points, whatever. Should have just taken it. That or just taken the over because LSU's defense really, when is it ever good? Anyway, Colorado plus 7. That was a bad bet. I think the public was all over that game. So whatever. I'd still do it. I can't trust Colorado. Very impressive win by the Buffs, though. I'll give them that much. And then I think I covered them all. I didn't put this one out, but I ended up taking Troy plus 23.5 against Iowa, which did cover. So I guess in some ways I did come out even, not publicly with all of you, but I didn't take the under for another Iowa game. 3 straight weeks. When was the last time Iowa went over in 3 straight weeks? I got to go figure that out. I got to go learn about that. All right. But there was no way. There was no way they were covering 23.5. There's no way. I should have put it in my picks. That was my bad, guys. You can hold me accountable on that one. But anyway, somehow, some way, came out a little even. Coming off the, kind of a really bad Thursday night. A very meh Friday. So hopefully today is the day we win all our bets. All right. I kind of feel really good about this slate. You look at the games and you're kind of like, yeah, it's football. Yay. But you also look at them like, it's just tough, right? Like you look on the screen, I got, Bengals Chiefs. Like, how can you bet the Bengals after the game they just had against the Patriots on the road at Kansas City? We're going to get into it. The Browns and the Jaguars. Cody, why are you playing that game? Well, there's some trends that I like, and also it's just something about wanting to just fade the shitty person that is Deshaun Watson. All right. And then we have Bears Texans tonight. We got Bears Texans tonight, Sunday Night Football, Sunday Night Carry. I hate when the Bears play on prime time. So we're going to go do an under. But there's a few props I like from that game too. We'll get into that at the end of the show. So stick around, hit the like button. Hit the like button. If you're watching on Twitter, come to the YouTube channel. The link is in the description. Come to the YouTube channel. Hit the like button. Hit that subscribe button. And I like what we got going today. And we'll see if we win some bets. All right. Let's get into the first game. I need a drink. Hold on. Also, the dog I'm watching is crying. So if that's what you guys hear, that is the dog. Okay. Browns, Jaguars. Let's start with the spread. All right. I like Jaguars -3. All right, Jaguars -3. The Jags. I think there was a trend I read on Action Network. All right, teams to blow a 10-point lead in Week 1 are 29-17 straight up, and 28-17-1 against the spread. In Week 2 since 1990, that's per Action Network. I did not go and search that. I saw that. I read that on Action Network. Credit to those guys. So though there are 3 teams that includes. That's the Jaguars, the Cardinals, and the Titans. They all blew a 10-point lead in Week 1 and went on to lose. Okay, and again, those teams in Week 2 are 29-17 straight up and 28-17-1 against the spread in Week 2, going back to 1990. All right, so like I just said, I am taking some joy in fading Deshaun Watson. He is just a shitty person, and now he's got another lawsuit underneath him related to the stuff that he's already been in trouble for in the past. And he was awful in Week 1. I can't believe I bet the Browns Week 1. Maybe it's because I love their defense. I do like their defense, and I'll get into why I'm going to bet the over. But their defense is still really good, and I think that is why I was on them in Week 1 at home against a Cowboys team that I don't know. I don't know what to make of the Cowboys, and I will eventually get into why I'm betting them today. But all I know is that the Browns, they have one of the best defenses in football, and that's why I liked them last week. This week, now they go on the road to face a Jaguars team that blew a 10-point lead last week. They were great in the first half offensively, and then they couldn't score anything in the second half against the Dolphins team that we just watched get steamrolled by the Bills. Okay, so for me, when I look at this Jags team, as far as why I want to bet them, they are 6-3 against the spread in their last 9 games as a favorite. And as much as I love the Browns defense, it wasn't great, obviously, against the Cowboys. Now, is the Jaguars offense as good as the Cowboys? No. But it's their home opener. I feel like this is a great bounce back spot for them. Again, they blew a lead last week. They probably should have beat the Dolphins. And now they get this Browns team that there just seems like there's a lot of turmoil already, with the distractions with Deshaun Watson, the fact that he just hasn't been very good, the fact that he might have the worst contract, not just in the NFL, but in like all of sports. I don't know if that's true or not, but it feels like it, right? I just feel like there's a lot of distraction going on with the Browns right now. I just feel like Trevor Lawrence is the better quarterback. And I know he hasn't fully lived up to being like the number 1 pick or whatever. I think he's had some good stretches over the course of his career where he looks like a guy who can be elite. Has he lived up to like the Peyton Manning like expectation of the number 1 overall pick? I would say no, but he still is better than Deshaun Watson at this point in their careers. So I like the Jags at home to cover 3 points. It's moved up to 3.5 on some books. I got it at 3 on BetMGM. Now, the reason that I like the over is while the Browns offense has looked atrocious, it can't possibly get any worse. Deshaun Watson can't possibly look any worse, right? The Jaguars last season were ranked 26th in the NFL in passing yards allowed last season, and they allowed over 400 yards of offense to the Dolphins last week. All right. Hey, dude. You feel better? You feel better? Okay. So I like the Browns offense to take some strides this week. I don't think Deshaun Watson is going to come out there and throw 4 touchdowns, but I do think that they're going to be able to run the ball better. And I do think that they're going to be able to pass the ball better as well. Week 1 is always that week of overreaction, right? So for people thinking that me taking the Jaguars over the Browns is an overreaction, fair. It's fair. I like the trend of teams that blew a 10-point lead going into Week 2 historically have been really good. But this Jags defense, not very good against the pass. And I think if they can find a way to the Browns, if they can find a way to run the ball a little bit, they'll be able to throw the ball better. There's just absolutely no way that this Browns offense can look as bad as it was last week in consecutive weeks. So you give me, it's 41.5. We're asking for what, a 20 to 23 game, and that's just a push, right? So, I mean, to me, I think the game's going to be close. Who knows? Maybe there's a defensive touchdown in there. Maybe the Browns get one. I hope not, just in terms of the fact that I have the Jaguars -3. But we've seen, Watson threw 3 interceptions last week. I think that there could be a defensive touchdown in this game, which will help the over cash. So, yeah, I don't trust the Jags defense, and that's why I'm taking the over, and I don't trust Deshaun Watson over Trevor Lawrence, and that's why I'm taking Jags -3. Okay, so to lock it in, both of them got on BetMGM at again Jaguars -3, and I got the total at 41.5. I think on other books it's around 41.5 too. So that's where I'm at on that game. Okay, later, I think this game. Yeah, this game's in the noon slate as well. Saints at Cowboys. Okay. Raise your hand if you hammered the Panthers last week like an idiot. Yeah. I took Carolina last week against the Saints to cover 4, and it was dead by what? At least halftime, right? But the reason that I took Carolina to cover the 4 is, 1, it was a divisional game, and 2, I just am not high on the Saints. I'm not high on the Saints. I'm not high on Dennis Allen. I'm not high on Derek Carr. I'm not. And now they go on the road to Dallas, a Dallas team that I was just talking about, pounding the Browns last week on the road. Now they go home. Dak with his new contract, CeeDee Lamb with his new contract. They got the Jerry's World all revved up, ready to go for this game against the Saints, and a Saints offense that, listen, I had Alvin Kamara on my fantasy team last year, and he couldn't score any touchdowns because this Saints offense was atrocious. They put up, 40-plus points against the Panthers? Okay. Did you guys see this Cowboys defense against the Browns last week? And again, I know Deshaun Watson, not good. I know they couldn't do anything. But Micah Parsons, that front 7 that they have, it's elite. It's one of the top 3-4 defensive lines in the NFL, in my opinion. And I cannot possibly take the Saints to cover 6 here. Even if it moved up to a touchdown, I could not do it. I would hammer the Cowboys. If you want better odds, I would consider doing like an alternate line of like 13.5 for the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to blow out the Saints today. Okay. Since 1990, we've only seen 4 teams win week 1 by 17 points and be a 7+ point underdog in week 2. I believe this line was bigger and it's come down a little bit, with the Rams last year being the last team to do so. Those 4 teams are 1-3 against the spread and 0-4 straight up, losing by an average of 17.5 points per game in week 2. Again, this is from Action Network. Let me read that again. All right. Since 1990, only 4 teams in week 1 win. Let me read that again. Since 1990, we've only seen 4 teams win in week 1 by 17 plus points, and be a 7+ point underdog in week 2, with the Rams last year being the last team to do so. All right. The 4 teams are 1-3 against the spread and 0-4 straight up, losing by 17.5 points per game. Again, from Action Network. Credit to those guys. All right. The Cowboys, they always start the season hot. And then they fade in January or in December, whatever. This isn't slander to Cowboys fans. It's just the facts. They start out hot every year, and especially under the coaching staff that they have and Dak Prescott. They always start the season hot. They get everyone on the hype train, and then they fade at the end of the year. So I like the Cowboys today. It's their first home game of the season. Their confidence could not possibly be higher after going on the road and just demolishing the Browns. Last year, the Saints ranked 22nd in rushing yards allowed. They had over 100 yards on the ground this past week against the Browns. And again, they were one of the best defenses in football, especially against the run, and they still got over 100 yards rushing this past week. I think the Cowboys are going to control the time of possession of this game because the Saints just aren't going to be able to slow down this Cowboys offense. And once they get that run game going, it's just going to be a bloodbath because I don't like what the Saints have on their defensive line or even on their offensive line. Hey, chill. Hey, chill. This is what happens when you watch a dog and you have to do a show live on YouTube at your house. Are you done? Are you done? Brady, chill. Okay, so again, Cowboys -6. Let's ride. Okay, next game. I believe this might be a noon game or it might be an afternoon game. I can't remember. I want to say it's an afternoon game. The 3:00 slate. Rams going to Arizona. I got the Cardinals -1. Might as well take it on the money line. I think money line's like -110. -1 is like -105. Just save yourself the pain and just put in Cardinals money line if you ride with this, because if you take it -1 and they only win by 1, then you just push and you don't lose your bet, but you also don't make any money. So just do Cardinals money line -110. Okay. So, like I was saying, related to the Jaguars, the Cardinals also blew a 10-point lead last week at Buffalo. On the road at Buffalo, they had a 10-point lead against the Bills at one point in that game. That's the same Bills team that absolutely dismantled the Dolphins this past week. This just a few days ago, this last Thursday. All right. Even before Tua got hurt, that the Bills were dominating that game. All right. Marvin Harrison didn't do much in that game at all, literally. And I think they get him going this week. We saw from the Rams defense last week there, the Lions were able to move the ball down the field, especially deep balls. Jameson Williams had probably the best game of his career against the Rams last week. And so I think Marvin Harrison is going to get it going this week with Kyler Murray. The Rams are also coming off an overtime loss on the road. Historically, teams off an overtime game playing on 7 days of rest or less who face a team who isn't off the extra session win just 43.7% of the games over the last decade, covering just 45.5% of them. That's also from Action Network again. So teams like the Rams played on Sunday Night Football, the first Sunday Night Football game of the year. So it's not like they're on short rest. They didn't play on Monday. They played on Sunday, but they did play in overtime. Who face a team, historically teams off an overtime game playing on 7 days rest or less, who face a team who isn't off an extra session, which are the Cardinals, win just 43.7% of the game. So less than 50% of teams that play overtime the week before lose most of their games the following week. So it's a small percentage, but you basically got a 50-50 shot there. But also the Rams, they just put Puka Nacua on the IR. As of yesterday, I was reading, they got 2 guys questionable in the secondary and 2 injuries on the offensive line as well. All 4 of them are questionable, I believe. I think it kind of matters. You maybe look at the injury report, but as of right now, I'll take the Cardinals just based off that information alone. Also, I just don't know what this Rams offense is going to look like without Nacua. Now, against the Lions last week, they were able to put some decent drives together once he even got hurt. Cooper Kupp had a hell of a second half against the Lions as well. Last season, the Lions secondary not very good. It got improved this offseason, and the Rams were still able to have some good drives. And this is nothing against the Rams. Like, this is a 1-point spread. I think the Rams are a decent team. I just like the Cardinals at home coming off a 10-point loss. And again, like I said earlier, teams that blow a 10-point lead in week 1 are 29-17 straight up, and 28-17-1 against the spread since in week 2 since 1990. All right. That doesn't mean all of these 3 teams that I mentioned, the Cardinals, the Titans, and the Jaguars, are going to win. But I do like that trend. I do like this Cardinals team. The fact that they hung in with Buffalo in week 1 on the road, and were even up by 10 points at one point. I think they bounce back this week against a Rams team that's kind of hurt right now. They're not going to have their, whether you want to rank Nakua better than Kupp at this point based off recency bias or not, like, they're not going to have their full wide receiver core. And I like what the Cardinals are doing right now. So give me the Cardinals money line. Give me Cardinals -1, whatever you want to do. Again, I recommend a money line. Okay. Now, this last one, or I guess we have 2 more, or we have 3 more games. All right. I did not put this on the graphic, but I am taking the Titans +4 as well. Titans +4. Let's just put it up here right now. That way, for anyone who's coming in here and might not understand what I'm saying because it's not on the thing, I'm going to take the Titans +4. Titans +4. Again, related to that trend that I was talking about, I like the Titans +4. The Jets are coming off a short week. They played Monday night against the 49ers, and they just got dismantled by the 49ers. And I know the 49ers are one of the best teams, not just in the NFC, but just in the National Football League. They're going to be favorites again to go back to the Super Bowl or at least get to the NFC Championship game. The Titans, people are they're either up on them or down on them going into week 1 against the Bears last week. I did not put this out, but I actually took the Titans +4, and it was just a massive bad beat against the Bears. In terms of a gambling standpoint, I did live bet the Bears money line when they were down 17-10, but I was hoping that they would just lose by field goal, as in the Titans. The Titans, they controlled that entire game against the Bears until they started turning the ball over, and they gave the Bears didn't score 1 offensive touchdown, which is crazy to me that they won the game. It was like when the Bears and the Cardinals played in 05, 06, that Super Bowl year, Devin Hester's kick return, Brian Urlacher's, was it a fumble return or an interception return, whatever, the Dennis Green game, they are who we thought they were. That is basically just like that game, honestly. All right. So the Titans, their defense was awesome last week. Their defense was awesome last week. This Jets team, again, short week. Aaron Rodgers coming back from this Achilles injury didn't look incredible last week or on Monday against the 49ers. I like what this Titans defense has given you. Here's another trend that I like. It goes against the Jets. Teams that play a Monday Night Football road game that play a road game the following week are 12-21 straight up and 13-20 against the spread over the last 10 years. That's also from Action Network. All right. 12-21 straight up and 13-20 against the spread. While I can't trust this Titans offense, I also can't trust this Jets offense. Maybe it's smarter to take the total on this, but what I do know is the one thing on offense the Titans were able to do against the Bears was run the ball. Like, Tony Pollard ran all over the Bears defense in the first half of that game. And can Will Levis be any worse than what he was? It's kind of like what I was talking about with Deshaun Watson. Like, can he be any worse than that? That said, the Jets defense supposed to be really good. They weren't good against the 49ers. Again, that's the 49ers. But I think that's the biggest question is, can Will Levis be any worse than he was? And can the Jets, is the Jets offense still just kind of, trying to get it going? It's kind of like how I feel about the Bears. Like, I feel like it's going to take a couple weeks for the Bears offense to really maybe develop into what we hope they are to be. I think with Rodgers coming off this injury and the fact that, honestly, Rodgers in his last year with Green Bay wasn't exactly elite. He wasn't, like the elite version of Aaron Rodgers that I grew to know growing up and through my early part of my adult years. I just don't know what to expect from this Jets team in week 2 and another road game too as well. All right. The Jets run defense ranked in the bottom 10 last year, and they just let the 49ers run all over them last week. Again, I just said Tony Pollard for the Titans. He ran it all over the Bears last week. So I think the Titans if they can run the ball, they're going to be able to cover the spread, I think. Yeah. And again, I just don't know if Will Levis can be any worse than what he was. So I expect him in his first home game to bounce back a little bit, maybe not necessarily be awesome, but be a better game manager at least, not turn the ball over, not throw a dumb pick 6 like he did to Tyreek Stevenson last week. And we'll see. So again, give me Titans +4 at -110. I got it on BetMGM. Chi-Town Custom Cornhole Boards. What's up, man? He says Colby Parkinson over 27.5 receiving yards. Okay. Remind me who is on. He's on the Rams, right? I believe he's a Rams receiver. I don't hate it considering Nakua is not going to play. So I like it. All right. We've got two more plays. Let's start with the other afternoon game. I got Bengals at Chiefs. I feel disgusting playing it. Folks. I feel really disgusting playing it, but I can't help it. I'm blindly following a trend here. Okay. Blindly following a trend. Bengals +6. All right. I'm taking the Bengals to go into Kansas City and cover 6. All right. Let's just look at it this way. If the Bengals had beat the Patriots, even if it would have been close, do we think the spread would be 6 points going into this game? I do not think so. If the Bengals beat the Patriots, I think it's a 3-point spread, probably. Maybe even lower, maybe like 1.5, depending on how the Bengals would have beat the Patriots. Now, like I said, and like everyone who does this stuff has probably said all week, and you've heard, is after week 1, everyone overreacts. Now, I know the Bengals have this issue with Jamar Chase and his contract. Joe Burrow's coming off an injury. Didn't look great against what's supposed to be a terrible team in the New England Patriots this year. But Joe Burrow has a ton of success against Patrick Mahomes. All right. We can just go into some of the trends. This one will not benefit the Bengals, but here's one for you. All right. For some reason, the Bengals always start the season slow. And that's what played a part into them missing the playoffs last year, I think. In the first 2 games of the regular season, Zach Taylor, the coach of the Bengals, is just 1-10 straight up as the head coach, and Burrow is 1-8 straight up. On the flip side, Andy Reid is 8-13 against the spread in week 2s over the last 20 years. That includes 5-6 against the spread with Kansas City and 3-7 against the spread with Philadelphia. Now, that's such a large trend of, different players and stuff when it comes to Andy Reid. But I do find it interesting, 5-6 with Kansas City. And the biggest thing for me is the Chiefs, when Patrick Mahomes is a favorite of more than 3 points, he doesn't cover as much as he does when it's 3 points or less. So while people are overreacting to the Bengals being terrible against the Patriots, to go with this Jamar Chase stuff, who's to say that we're not overreacting to the Chiefs? I understand Xavier Worthy went off. He had 3 targets, and on 2 of those 3 targets, he scored a touchdown. One was a jet sweep, basically, and another was just blown coverage by the Ravens on a straight, deep route. They have some tape on him now, a little bit of tape on him. And One might say we might be overreacting to the Chiefs offense. One might say. I'm not sure, but I do feel pretty sure about the Bengals being 6-point underdogs against this team is too much. I think that the spread would be more like 3 points if Cincinnati would have won last week. And again, I'm trying not to overreact to week 1 chaos, all right? Listen, 2 years ago, I watched the Bears beat the 49ers at home in week 1, all right? And then the Bears went on to win 3 games, okay? So I just think this Bengals team is better. There's a lot of discourse being put out towards them right now. And they know that they haven't started out the season well in their last handful of games or last handful of years. So I just feel like this Bengals offense is going to get it going this week. All right. The Chiefs offense was great last week against the Ravens, right? But they still allowed 185 yards on the ground. Now, I know most of that was to Lamar Jackson, who had over 100 yards rushing. But and Joe Burrow is not going to do that, right? But the Ravens still managed a total 452 yards of offense in total. So as we watched in that first game of the year, Lamar Jackson was able to throw the ball efficiently. I think it all comes down to if Kansas City is going to be able to get any pressure on the Bengals. I think that'll be a big part of if the Bengals can cover the spread. I personally don't think the Bengals are going to win this game, but I just feel like it's going to be closer than 6 points. Usually when these two teams play, it is. And again, Burrow has had a lot of success against Patrick Mahomes, especially in the regular season. We can go through some of the trends related to that game because there's a lot of them. I was reading them on Action Network. So if you want to back the Chiefs, all right, Patrick Mahomes is 16-4 straight up and 12-8 against the spread in September. That's the 16-4 straight up mark is the best of any month for Mahomes in terms of money line profitability. Now it's a 6-point spread, so the money line's not me. Maybe put the Chiefs in a parlay. Mahomes is 38-42-2 against the spread, which is 48% hit rate for his career as a favorite of more than a field goal. In other spots, so less than a field goal, or a field goal or less, he is 24-8-1 against the spread. So like I said, whenever he is a field goal or less, he's very, very profitable. All right. This line did open at 3.5 and it moved to 6 this week. Mahomes is just 10-13-2 against the spread in his career when the line moves 2+ points toward his team. Some things related to the Bengals. All right. As an underdog of above 4 points, Burrow is 10-2 against the spread in his career. When he plays as that big of an underdog with Jamar Chase in the lineup, he is 4-1 straight up and 5-0 against the spread. All right. Burrow is 14-6-1 against the spread after a straight up loss, including 9-2-1 against the spread in September and October, and a 10-3 against the spread on the road. All right. That's coming off a loss. Those are really good trends, right? Burrow's had a lot of success, like I said, versus some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He's 6-1 against the spread versus Mahomes, Josh Allen, and Tom Brady, with only his one against the spread loss coming by 1 point on the road in Kansas City in a playoff game. So one time. Yeah, so I just fed y'all a bunch of them. This is all from Action Network. It's a great, not that I need to be giving Action Network any publicity or, any kind of things to make them feel good. They're a great website for, betting trends and stuff and trying to get maybe you feel a certain way about a game and you just want to read someone else's opinion. That's why I use them personally, is I feel a certain way about a game and then I just want to hear what other people are thinking as well. I'm not here to say that I'm the greatest gambler in the world. I'm not here to say that I'm the worst gambler in the world, but I do like to hear other people's opinions on games. So that's why I go to Action Network sometimes. And they just provide really good analysis and trends and stuff like that. So highly recommend if you are a degenerate like me. So Anyway, I'm taking Bengals +6 because I just think that maybe perhaps we as the public are overreacting to the Bengals against the Patriots and perhaps maybe even overreacting to the Chiefs offense against the Ravens last week. Just a thought. All right. All right. Let's get into Sunday night carry. All right. I'll probably tweet out some props for this game later. I do have one prop for this game that I will give you guys here. But let's start with the game overall. I'm going to take the Bears and Texans under 45.5. All right. First off, death, taxes, primetime unders. Okay. The under on primetime has been hitting around a 60% clip the last like 5 years. Okay. I blindly take the under in every primetime game. The under hit on Thursday Night Football. Is it because Tua got hurt? Probably, because it did not look like it was going to hit. And so far early in this year, the under has not really been hitting as much as the trends say it does. But it's a really good sample size over the last 5 years, around 60% on primetime unders. Okay. And while that is a trend, I also personally don't feel great about the Bears offense. I was just talking about the Titans, and the Bears didn't score one offensive touchdown against the Titans. And I personally am kind of afraid of what's going to happen here on primetime now. Now, I'll say this much, okay? Do I think Caleb Williams and the Bears offense will be better? Yes. But I still do think that it's going to take at least 4 weeks for this offense to really get into any kind of groove. And until the month of September is over, I'm just not buying on this Bears offense as a whole. And also Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen are questionable. And if Keenan Allen doesn't play, that's a bigger worry to me than Odunze. Odunze is a rookie wide receiver. They still have DJ Moore. They have Cole Kmet at tight end. They have Gerald Everett at tight end. And if one of those two guys don't play, Tyler Scott's probably going to play. All right. So it's not the worst thing in the world, but not having a future Hall of Famer like Keenan Allen out there is not good, in my opinion. It doesn't bode well. The biggest concern for me right now is, will the Bears be able to run the ball against Houston? Because they couldn't run the ball against the Texans, all right? Or the Titans. I mean, I keep getting the Texans and the Titans mixed up. Now, when you want to look at the Texans' run defense, I'm going to bring it up right now. Let's just put in DeAndre Swift. His rushing total. Let's just bring it up here. Rushing yards total is at 46.5. Last season, the Houston run defense was ranked 5th against running backs, 6th overall in football, including, wide receivers, quarterbacks, and all that. So they were one of the best defenses against the run last year. They're at home. They're considered to be like, I don't know if I can say Super Bowl contender, but I would say at least an AFC championship contender to go to the AFC championship, maybe because of CJ Stroud, and their offense is improved, adding Stephon Diggs and all that. But the one thing I will say is that I like the Bears defense. The Bears defense was awesome last week. And I think they can slow down the Texans. So the thing is will the Bears be able to run the ball? And if they aren't, then I don't know if the Bears are going to even be able to score points. I think that the way they're trying to do things right now with the Bears offense is establish the run. That way it opens up the pass. That's what they tried to do against the Titans. At least it felt like DeAndre Swift couldn't get anything going, right? I don't know if they're going to get anything going on the ground this week either. I do. And I'll get into my prop here. I do think Caleb Williams will have a better game, at least when you look at the stat sheet at the end of the game. I do think it will look better than what it did against the Titans, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to score points consistently. Again, they have 0 offensive touchdowns at this point. So one might say that, like I said about other games, that it can't get any worse, right? It absolutely cannot get any worse. So yeah, the offense should be able to score a touchdown this week, right? But how many? How many, right? And they're 6.5-point underdogs for a reason. And I'm not touching that spread. Maybe if it gets over 7, maybe. But I like the Bears defense, and I there's no reason for me to fully believe in the Bears offense being where I think it needs to be for them to go over this total. That's just basically how I feel. And again, Keenan Allen might not play. Rome Odunze might not play. Their offense last week, they were 28th in offensive DVOA, gaining just 13.4 yards per drive. It's atrocious. All right. I will also say CJ Stroud was sacked 50% of the plays he was pressured, the highest of any quarterback last week too. So I do like the interior defensive line for the Bears today, with guys like Javon Dexter and TJ Edwards and all those guys getting after CJ Stroud. And if the Bears defense shows up like it did last week, I think the Bears can perhaps cover the spread. But will they be able to do it for 4 quarters? I don't know. And again, I'm not sure about this Bears offense going into week 2, coming off with how bad it looked last week. And I know it's a new offensive coordinator, but just go back to last year, the first 4 weeks of the season. The Bears offense was terrible first 4 weeks of the season because, and I understand it was Justin Fields and not Caleb Williams, but and I'll give the Bears some credit here. Last year, they basically didn't play any of their guys in preseason. They did play them in preseason this year. So there is a reason there was a lot of hype coming into week 1 last week, and then everyone was just completely let down by their performance, at least on offense. I still just think that there's going to take some time. There really is going to take some time, I think. So I just don't feel confident taking the Bears to cover 6.5. And I don't feel confident betting an over with a Bears team that has yet to score an offensive touchdown. And now they have to go on the road to play a team that's considered to be, an AFC title contender. So I think the safe play here is the under here on primetime Sunday Night Football, Bears Texans. Okay. Now, you want to play an over on this game? Here's my one prop. I'm going to type it out right now. Okay. Here y'all go. Here we go. Caleb Williams over 213.5 yards passing. All right. Now, the reason I like this is, again, he can't be any worse than what he was last week, right? He had like 92 yards passing last week. He can't be any worse than that, right? There's absolutely no way he's going to be that bad again. Okay. Now, one of the reasons I like it is the way the spread is set up, the game script. The Bears are likely to be trailing in this game for a large majority of it, especially in the second half. And so they're going to have to pass the ball. And especially if the Texans have a multi-score lead, they're probably going to play pretty soft in the secondary in the second half, at least in the fourth quarter. And we might get some garbage time passing yards. And 213, you're telling me you're asking for 213? This is one of those solid, buy low spots, I think. Caleb Williams over 213.5 yards passing. I think he goes over that tonight, based off how I think the game is going to go. I don't think the Bears are going to win. I don't think they're going to cover. I think the Bears are going to lose by double-digit points, and they're going to have to pass the ball. And I just think those garbage time yards are going to come, and he'll be able to go over this mark. That's how I feel. So if you want to play an over on this game, Caleb Williams over 213.5 yards passing. Okay. All right, guys. Well, that's it. That's all I got. Yeah, hit that like button and let's have a day. Good luck on your bets. And we'll see where we land by the end of the day. Hopefully we win all our bets. I would love to be wrong about the Bears covering 6.5. Again, we'll tweet out some more props on my Twitter account later today. Follow me at Cody_CHGO. And yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And we'll be back probably later next week for college football and more. All right. So I appreciate y'all's support. Let me know in the comments who you're tailing. And again, I mentioned this in the last episode. Subscribe to my Dub Club. It's in the link in my bio or link in my description here on YouTube. All it is I give out picks. I got about 8 to 9 subscribers right now. Just giving out picks, gambling picks, whatever. It's $5 a month, but the link in the description is a link with a discount, 50% discount. So it's $2.50 for the first month, $5 after that. And yeah, just appreciate any support you guys send. It means a lot. And yeah, again, we'll see y'all in the next episode. See ya.